When more and more people want something, it becomes easier to achieve that goal. Contrary to what certain governments say, human rights are universal. Arbitrary detention, torture, and discrimination hurt the human dignity of anybody, whatever his or her country of origin, religion, descent, or any other ground. People are fundamentally good, but conditions deteriorate them. Everyone's condition is different, and the way that each person lives his or her life is different. Human rights is a universal standard. It is a component of every religion and every civilization. The idea of cultural relativism is nothing but an excuse to violate human rights. Democracy is not an incident that happens overnight, nor a gift that America can give to the world. It is a culture which needs peace to evolve. My aim is to show that those governments that violate the rights of people by invoking the name of Islam have been misusing Islam. Women are the victims of this patriarchal culture, but they are also its carriers. Let us keep in mind that every oppressive man was raised in the confines of his mother's home. Democracy doesn't recognize East or West. Democracy is simply people's will. Therefore, I do not acknowledge that there are various models of democracy. There is just democracy itself. Because of our youthful population, we suffer from unemployment in Iran. We need more universities and more job opportunities for the young. I hope the example of Saddam Hussein will give a lesson to leaders of other countries where human rights are not respected. When a person is humiliated, when his rights are being violated, and he does not have the proper education, naturally he gravitates toward terrorism. The people are fed up with corruption and embezzlement. They object to censorship. The first thing that the people of Iran want is free elections. We demand a non-violent world where human security is the basis of our common global security. People have the right to live in a world where the basic needs of all peoples are addressed. No more military attacks. No more war. Those who don't understand any language other than the language of force and violence don't respect human dignity. They seek violence because they will be irrelevant without it. We should not go their way. What is important is that one utilizes one's intellect and not to be 100% sure about one's convictions. One should always leave room for doubt. Sadly, the job security of lawyers has been ruined, so they are less willing to defend political defendants. How can you defy fear? Fear is a human instinct, just like hunger. Whether you like it or not, you become hungry. Similarly with fear. But I have learned to train myself to live with this fear. When you vote, vote for those who are not warmongers, and vote for those who respect human rights. When you see a president who doesn't respect human rights, don't vote for that person. The condition of women in Islamic societies as a whole is also far from desirable. However, we should acknowledge that there are differences. In certain countries, the conditions are much better and in others much worse. It is totally unacceptable for a government to interfere in the internal affairs of another government and send aid, money, and weapons to the people who are against a certain regime in another country. When the gravity of death first touched me, I'd found preoccupation with the minutiae of daily life meaningless. If we ultimately die and turn to dust in the ground, should it ever truly upset us if the floor hasn't been swept? Quite recently enough, we adapted to being at war, just as we had adapted to the chaos and upheaval of revolution. How amazing and yet tragic it is, I thought. The human instinct for I have never been convinced throughout my life that one needs to be imitating others. I even tell my daughters not to look at me as a model. Every time I am fearful, I think to myself, the reason they do this is to discourage me from doing what I do. Hence, if I discontinue my work, I will have succumbed to my fears. Usually in any revolution, people are focused on who wants to have the most power. But the most important thing is the laws that are written during that time. Lawyers should not be charged with the same crimes as their clients. Trials related to political charges are not in accordance with human rights. Europe clearly is the only place where people can speak up critically. And this is a unique cultural value. Terrorism is based on two major pillars. One is injustice, and the other is a certainty of attitude. The notion that their version of the story is the correct one. North Americans do not understand that you do not throw down human rights like bombs on the Iraqis. I have never had a governmental position, and I will never accept such a position. We must not enable anyone to impose his personal view regarding religion on others by force, oppression, or pressure. SHIRINebadi, born June 21, 1947 in Hamadan into an educated Persian family. Her father, Muhammad Ali Ebadi, was the city's chief notary public and a professor of commercial law. Her mother, Mina Yamini, was a homemaker. When she was an infant, her family moved to Tehran. Before earning a law degree from the University of Tehran, Ebadi attended Anasharav Dadgar and Reza Shah Kabir schools. SHIRIN is an Iranian Nobel laureate, lawyer, writer, teacher, and a former judge and founder of the Defenders of Human Rights Center in Iran. In 2003, Ebadi was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her pioneering efforts for democracy and women's, children's, and refugee rights. She was the first Muslim woman and the first Iranian to receive the award. She was admitted to the law department of the University of Tehran in 1965 and 1969. Upon graduation, she passed the qualification exams to become a judge. After a 6-month internship period, she officially became a judge. In March 1969, she continued her studies at the University of Tehran to pursue a doctorate in law. In 1971, one of her professors was Mahmoud Shahabi Khorsani. In 1975, she became the first female president of the Tehran City Court and served until the Iranian Revolution. She was one of the first female judges in Iran. After the 1979 revolution, women were no longer allowed to serve as judges, and she was dismissed and given a new job as a clerk in the court she had presided over. Later, despite already having a law office permit her, applications were repeatedly rejected, and Ebadi was unable to practice law until 1993. She used this free time to write books and many articles in Iranian periodicals. Apni AAP Women Worldwide, co-chair of the International Advisory Board, Aurora Prize, member of the Selection Committee since 2015, Business for Peace Award Committee, member 2009, Reporters Without Borders WB, member of the Emeritus Board, Scholars at Risk SAR, member of the Ambassadors Council, Nuremberg International Human Rights Award, member of the jury 2004-2020,